Right, the next graph that I want us to look at is called quadratic function. It is always in the form of ax squared plus bx plus c. It also has the general equation. The general equation nayo ithi y is equals to ax squared plus bx plus c. This is the general equation of the quadratic formula. Remember, there are two more equations here. There is another one that says y is equals to a into x minus p all squared plus q. And the third one that says y is equals to a into x minus x1, x minus x2. These are the three equations of the quadratic function or the parabola. Remember what I said earlier on, the question, answering the questions are to find the equation. Find the equation. So it's for now a, no b, no c. Mas funda equation asifunda no y no x, sifuna konke lamanye variables alapho. So in this case, so sifuna a, no b, no c. In this case, so sifuna a, no p, no q. In this case, so sifuna a, no x1, no x2. So it is important that we should take note of that. Remember, we said we're looking for a, for b, for c. All these are variables and the effect hayenzayo egraphini yethu. A tells us whether the graph faces up or down. B will shift our graphs along the x-axis. C uzositshela lapho ikhatha khona ama-y-axis. That is that graph. We look at this one, the second one, and the third one. If you look at the second one, A is still doing the same thing. It tells us whether the graph is facing up or it is facing down. If A is positive, the graph will face up. If this value here is negative, the graph will face down. We move on. What is the significance of this P and Q? P usinikeza ini i-turning point. X we-turning point lo, Y we-turning point lo. P, X we-turning point, simbiza nge-axis of symmetry. Q, Y we-turning point. Uma ngabe ibheke phezulu siyibiza nge-minimum value, mayibheke phansi siyibiza nge-maximum value. Let's look at the third one. A usasitshela the same thing. It tells us whether the graph yethu izobheka phezulu noma izobheka phansi. Lo x1, lo x2 usitshela ngama-roots. Remember the first graph that we were doing? It was y is equals to mx plus c. This was to the power 1. The one that we are doing now is to the power 2. It tells us the number of roots. Here we are going to have only one x-intercept, but here we are going to have two x-intercepts. This graph is important. We also use it when we deal with the nature of roots. Right. Roughly, zithathu kuphela izinto eziyidingayo ukuze sikwazi ukudweba iparabola. Yiziphi lezo zinto? Okokuqala, if this is point A, this is called the y-intercept. That's the main point that we need also in this one. I-y-intercept, ko wonke ama-graphs itholakala ngendlela efanayo. Senza abantu makasifuna i-y-intercept, senza u-x afane no-0. Ama-x-intercepts la awu-2, since we've got x to the power 2. Awu-2 ama-x-intercepts. If this is B and that is C, these 2 points are called the x-intercepts or the roots. Abanye bathi ama-zeros, the x-intercepts or the roots. Azoba u-2 ke wona ama-x-intercepts, right? After finding, how do you find the x-intercept? Mawufuna ama-x-intercept, you just make y abe u-0. Ngoba akekho y at these 2 points. The value of y at these 2 points, it is 0. So whenever we're looking for the roots or the x-intercept, we make y equal to 0. After that, we factorize. The last point that you'll need here is this point here called the turning point. So we just need izinto ey'ntathu. Number 1, i-y-intercept. Siyithola kanjani? Senza u-x abe u-0. Number 2, yilama x-intercept awu-2. Siwathola kanjani? Senza u-y abe u-0, then we factorize. Number 3, we're looking for this point called the turning point. Turning point. Lakhiwa ama-point amabili turning point. La graphic jika khona, turning point. Lakhiwa u-x, no y. Right, stay in there. Y-intercept, sithi in there. Ama-x-intercept awu-2, sithi in there, i-turning point. Sithi i-turning point yethu yakhiwa ama-point awu-2. U-x, no y. Coordinate eyodwa lo. Yini u-x we-turning point? Simbiza nge-axis of symmetry. What is the axis of symmetry? It is the line that cuts anything into two equal halves. So in this case, it will cut this graph into two equal halves. In other words, it bisects this graph, cuts it into exactly two equal halves. Okunye kuba mirror image yokunye. Right, what is this one? This one is the minimum or the maximum value. In this case, since the graph is big pants, the graph is going up, this one is going up. So this is the minimum value. But it's so this graph has got a minimum value, a maximum value. It up to infinity. It does not have a maximum value. But if you be big pants, it's a maximum value. So this one has got a minimum value. Minimum value. That's actually the y value. It is still the same y value that we use to determine the range. Range graph y. So in range graph will start from here up to positive infinity. That's how we'll be looking at. Graph is go y. So masithi range graph injani y unjani. Usuka la at the minimum value, which is the value of y, up to positive infinity. Right. Let's come back to the axis of symmetry. So axis of symmetry. Remember, this is the line that cuts the graph into two equal halves. Yes, it cuts the graph into two equal halves. What does this tell us? The distance from here to here will be the same as this distance from here to here. So, kusuka la kuza la, kuyafana kusuka la kuza. Okusho ukuthi axis of symmetry, it cuts it into two equal halves. No matter where I take it, if I take it from here, kusuka la kuza la will be the same as kusuka la kuza la. Because that's been cut by the axis of symmetry. Or x with turning point. In other words, axis of symmetry, the x value at turning point. Now, so we told the axis of symmetry. Once our equation is in the form of ax squared plus bx plus c, we can use the formula at x is equals to minus b over 2a. That is how we find the axis of symmetry. We use the formula. Remember, this is b. You push the value that you see there. A, you push the value that you see there, you multiply it by 2. Then you will find the axis of symmetry. But how do you find the minimum value then? Ukuthola minimum value, uthatha ivalue oyitholile la ku-axis of symmetry, uyisubstitute kwi-original equation. So la khona x, uzofaka ivalue ka-x oyitholile la, laphaya, nalapha ku-x, then you work it out. The values oyithola lapho will be called the minimum or the y value at turning point, if you pick a phezulu. Right. That is what you need in order to sketch the parabola. And the questions azobuzwa around these 3 points that we are talking about. Ukuthi understand and ukuthi ama-axis of symmetry now, nokuthi atholakala kanjani. Atholakala kanjani ngokuthi senze y equal to 0 and so on and so forth.